The pen slides across the glass table at Frostbank, catching the cold light like a blade. "Mom, please sign it," Daniel whispers, breath fogging the polished surface. Vivian smiles with a softness you put on like pearls. "We're protecting your future, Ellie." The Porsche outside idles beneath a red bow, its chrome winking blue from a distant patrol car parked on Congress. I look at the signature line like it's a thin strip of ice over deep water. If I sign, I lose the house my husband built with his hands. If I don't do, I lose my son. "Whose future?" I ask. Vivian's smile doesn't move, only her eyes. Something in me goes very, very still. Asterisk, asterisk, if you've ever felt dismissed, betrayed, or made to feel invisible. Or maybe you've experienced the deepest loneliness, or that unbearable pain of losing those you love most, share it. Leave a comment. Tell me where you're watching from. And don't forget to subscribe, because maybe the next story will remind you of your own strength. 2 days earlier, my kitchen in Westlake breathed cinnamon and steam. The window pane held a blurry wreath of Christmas lights. On the counter sat my gift, a mason jar with a crooked bow and 4 limp dollar bills. 35 years of lunches, prom corsages, college tuition measured in $4 and a joke about thrift. It's symbolic. Harper chirped, cheeks flushed the exact pink of the ribbon. "You're so good at saving." I smiled the way glass smiles right before it shatters. Symbols cut through the window. The Porsche waited in the drive, glossy and smug under the string lights. Daniel's voice outside was buoyant. Boyish, he sounded 8 again, unveiling a science fair volcano. "Merry Christmas, Mom, Vivian." The name snagged like a burr. Mom, Vivian, my own name, mother, suddenly needed a qualifier, like I'd been demoted to a footnote in my own family. I rinsed the last roasting pan until my knuckles went red and paper thin. When I turned, a Saint Laurent purse sat by the coffee maker, black, leather drinking the light, forgotten or planted. The zipper gave a small, satisfied click when I touched it, as if it already knew what was inside. My stomach went tight. People don't leave expensive things where a woman like me will do the right thing. They leave them to see what kind of woman I am. Outside, doors slammed, laughter scattered like beads on tile. The house exhaled into the kind of silence that makes clocks loud. I reached for the purse, not because I planned to trespass, but because something in the room had shifted a fraction to the left, and now nothing lined up. The bow on the Porsche, the jar on my counter, the careful, sweet way Vivian said my name. The landline rang old-fashioned, honest, impossible to ignore. "Mrs. Brooks," a man's voice, official and dry. "This is Officer Reed with Austin PD. We're calling about a missing person report filed in Seattle. A Ms. Vivian Hale." The purse was cool under my palm. In the window's reflection, my face looked like someone else's, someone who had just realized the gift on her driveway might be the least dangerous thing she'd been given all week. Asterisk, asterisk, Mrs. Brooks. The voice is clipped. Official. "Officer Reed, Austin PD. A missing person report was filed out of Seattle for a Ms. Vivian Hale. Her son Matthew says she isn't answering." The St. Laurent purse is cool under my palm, leather drinking. The kitchen light, Seattle. I repeat, letting a little landline confusion do the work. "I'm not sure I know anyone in Seattle." "We have her on a guest list at your address tonight," he says. Paper rustles. "If she contacts you, ask her to call her son or us." "My son just took her for a drive," I say, to show her the car. We hang up with the polite finality of strangers. Silence returns, honest and loud. Dishwasher hum, a single deliberate tick from the grandfather clock. The Porsche glows under cheap icicle lights like a shark beneath party water. My gift sits squat on the counter mason jar. Crooked bow, for bills that won't lie flat. A son. She has a son. So not the soft script about loneliness she sold at my table. Not the dampied no one to spend the holidays with. Not the tremor when she called Daniel such a good boy. The name on the phone, Matthew Hale, settles beside the gold initials inside her purse. VH, vanity or signature. Either way, a match. The purse buzzes once, twice. I don't touch it. I watch the notification light turn the underside of the cabinet a surgical blue. Frostbank, meeting confirmed Friday, 2 p.m. Orion, appraisal in, Brooks tract approved. Unknown, move title to Shell. Window closes in 10 days. Matthew Hale, Mom, please. Pick up. My mouth tastes like copper. When you're stealing from someone, You rename what's happening. Sale-leaseback becomes freeing equity. Urgency becomes opportunity. A forged signature becomes just a form. Outside car doors, laughter, the brittle jangle of bracelets. They don't come in. They never do. Thanks for dinner, Mom. We'll see you next week. Daniel calls through the door like a boy shouting into a tunnel. The engine purrs. The Porsche slips into the dark like a promise I didn't make. The house exhales. I dry my hands. People leave things behind for two reasons: by accident or on purpose. If it's an accident, you return it fast. If it's on purpose, it's a mirror. They want to see what you do with the reflection. My reflection tonight is a woman who raised a son on Capitro's overtime, and the belief that truth has gravity. Don't look at the blood. Tom used to say when I stitched him at the kitchen table. Look at the thread. Focus on what holds things together. I lift the purse, surprised by its weight, and carry it down the narrow hall where the house grows church quiet. In my bedroom, the lamp throws a warm circle on the dresser. I set the bag inside the light. I'm not snooping, I tell myself. I'm collecting a phone number for a worried Sunand, a record for a cop who said my address out loud. The zipper yields with a small, satisfied sound. On top, a manila sleeve labeled in a neat, practiced hand. Orion Brooks Poa. A yellow sticky note clings like a warning flare. Filed, ****. The manila sleeve is warm from the lamp. The tab stamped with tidy confidence. Orion Brooks, Poa. I ease the flap and slide out a stack that smells faintly of toner and someone else's plans. On top, a power of attorney with my name in a hand that almost passes. Almost. The loop on the Y in Ellie is wrong, one curl. Instead of two and, the downstrokes are too heavy, as if whoever forged me gripped the pen like a hammer. A notary, seal puckers, the paper. The witnesses are names I've never met but will not forget. Beneath it, an appraisal for my address, photos of my porch in morning light, a price that makes my throat go dry. A yellow sticky rides the corner like a flare. Filed in a flowchart, printed, highlighted, efficient titled sequence. Appraise, file pois, open HELOC prep sale, leaseback, transfer title to LLC shell, offshore vehicle for tax advantage. Move funds, the arrowheads are tiny knives. There are bank statements, not mine, bold balances from a brokerage I've never used. A prepaid Visa sleeve, Travis County parcel comps, with my block circled in neat red. A Frost Bank appointment printed for Friday, 2 p.m. Conference room C under Senior. Someone has typed, Ellie Brooks, by Poa, Daniel Brooks. The room tilts a degree, and then rights itself. The purse buzzes again, blue light washing the dresser edge. I don't touch it. I let the light speak. Orion Handler, window closes in 10 days. Move titled to shell. Frost Bank. See you Friday, 2 p.m. Matthew Hale. Mom, please, pick up so she isn't alone. She has a son who calls, and a life she edits for us to swallow. Loneliness was a prop on our table, like the centerpiece she brought from the boutique. Tasteful, expensive, removable. I set the POA beside the appraisal and take out my phone. The camera thwips quietly as I photograph each page, edges square. File names plain. POA_1. POA_2, appraisal_1. I photographed the flowchart, the frost confirmation, the prepaid sleeve. Tom's voice lives somewhere in my head. Don't stare at the blood, L. Look at the thread. I follow the thread across arrows and seals and someone else's idea of my future. And the thread leads to one word that should never sit next to my name: transfer. My hands don't shake. Not when I fold the papers exactly as they were. Not when I slide the sleeve back where it lived. Not when I lift out a prescription vial I hadn't noticed, anxiety meds. Filled 2 months ago, Vivian's name crisp on the label, and think about how even predators tremble when the hunt gets close to the fence. The house is quiet in that way. Only old houses know every sound a sentence. The clock ticks. The heater sighs. Somewhere, ice settles in the gutters with a soft chime. I zip the purse, same pace, same angle, and set it by the lamp so its shadow falls where I found it. The blue light blinks once more and dies. The doorbell rings. It's a soft, polite chime, the kind you choose from a panel and never change. I stand in the doorway to my room and listen. A second ring. Then Daniel's voice, muffled through wood and insulation. Mom. Heavy. Vivian just realized. She left her purse. We'll swing by and grab it. I look at the bag, at the evidence it carried in, and the hole it would have carried out. I look at the lamp's circle of light, warm as a confessional. There are two ways to return something: quickly, cleanly, or after you understand what it was meant to do to you. I smoothed the counterpane and walked toward the bell. Coming, I say, and my voice is calm. In my pocket, the photos are already marching themselves into order. By midnight, the house is all breath and bones heater size, joists settling, the clock's heartbeat somewhere down the hall. I set the returned purse exactly where she forgot it, wiped the counter, smiled through the doorway scene, and watched Vivian's eyes skim the kitchen like a security camera, confirming nothing moved. When the taillights fade, I open my laptop at the table. The screen throws a pale square over the mason jar and its crooked bow. I type Matthew Hale, Seattle elder law. He is easy to find, a firm headshot with patient eyes. Elder law and estate protection, guardianships, POA audits, financial exploitation, blog posts lined like warnings, sale-leasebacks to shale entities. A red flag. Urgency is a tactic, not a timeline. Verifying a power of attorney with your county clerk. A short video plays with subtitles. If anyone pressures a senior to sign quickly, involve counsel. Legitimate deals survive a second opinion. I dial the firm, expecting a recording. A woman answers.com, Laytower professional, Hale and Associates. This is Eleanor Brooks in Texas, I say. I'm not a client. Mother, I need to know what red flags look like. We can't give legal advice without a retainer, she says, kind but firm. But I can point you to public resources. What's happening? An appraisal on my home I never authorized. A POA filed with my name that isn't my hand. A sale-leaseback I'm being urged to sign before the window closes. And someone named Orion who wants the title moved to a shell. She's quiet. For a breath, I hear keys tapping. Those are, in general, classic indicators. Verify the POA at your county clerk. Compare the notary's commission, witness names, filing date. Call your bank to put a note on your accounts. Freeze your credit. Document every conversation. And if pressure continues, contact your local elder fraud unit. Will Mr. Hale take a call? I ask, surprised to hear hope in my own voice. He's out of state this week, she says. But he'd tell you the same. Slow it down. Write it down. Bring in counsel. Urgency is their oxygen. I thank her. When I hang up, I make a list, in block letters, and slide it under the mason jar. Clerk pull POA copy. Verify notary. Attorney. Call Maya Patel at 9 a.m. bank. Alert plus no wire without me in person. Credit freeze tonight. Record everything. Tom used to say, don't stare at the blood, look at the thread. The thread tonight runs from a red bow on a car to a blue glow on my cabinets to a stranger's blog post telling me I'm not crazy. It is something to hold. Headlights rake the blinds late, careless, familiar. The deadbolt clicks from the other side. Daniel has kept his key. I close the laptop and rest my hand on the list. His voice floats down the hall, bright and brittle. We need to talk about what you did. The clock ticks once, loud as a gavel. Asterisk, asterisk, headlights rake the blinds like fingernails. The deadbolt turns with the easy confidence of someone who believes they belong. Daniel steps in first, coat unbuttoned, jaw set. Harper hovers behind him, eyes bright and wet, fingers already finding her wedding ring. The kitchen holds its breath. The mason jar with its crooked bow sits where I left it. My list half hidden beneath the glass like a secret backbone. Ma, Daniel says, voice pitched in the register he uses for difficult clients. We need to talk about what you did. What I did. I rinse a mug though it's clean, steam lifting like a ghost. You'll have to be more specific. You went through Vivian's purse. He doesn't blink when he says it. You made her feel unsafe in our home. Our home, I repeat softly, like checking the fit of a shoe that suddenly pinches. Harper's ring spins faster. She was devastated. Harper blurts, palms up like she's pleading with the jury. She's been there for us, in ways that. She stops herself, cheeks flushing. It felt invasive. I set the mug down. I carried her purse to my room so it wouldn't sit unattended on the counter. I intended to return it, which I did. Daniel exhales hard through his nose. A tell from childhood I know better than my own heartbeat. This isn't like you, he says. Vivian's relationship with her son is complicated. He has control issues. She needed space, a fresh start, people who care. He hits each phrase like a teleprompter, is feeding him the lines. Complicated, control issues, needed, space. The vocabulary is hers. The voice is my son's mouth. She also said, Harper adds carefully, that you've seemed jealous, lonely, and forgetful. It's why she mentioned the sale-leaseback to protect you, to free up equity. It's an opportunity. There it is, the word they teach at the first seminar, opportunity. My list peeks from under the mason jar. Clerk, attorney, bank, free spines me upright. Jealous, I echo, because sometimes the shortest word is the sharpest mirror. Of what, exactly? Of the bond we've built, Daniel says, and something in his face betrays him, the scared boy under the man's suit. She's been like a mother to us since Dad died. She understands our pressure. Harper's ring won't stop its orbit. We're only trying to help, she says. You've been overwhelmed. Tom, gone, the house, the bills. This would simplify everything. By moving my title to an LLC no one will name. My voice stays flat, a lake in winter. By rushing, a signature before some window slams shut. Mom. Daniel's voice drops, warning and plea braided together. Please don't make everything difficult just to make it difficult. I look at him, at the man I raised on casseroles and time cards, and I feel the exact moment the insult finds the bone. I could rage. I could break the mason jar, let the $4 bills float like dead leaves. Instead, I pour kettle water over a tea bag and listen to the sound it makes, a soft hiss like paper sealing to paper. I'll always listen, I say at last. But I don't sign fast. Vivian says urgency is important here. Harper tries again. It's how these opportunities work. Legitimate opportunities, I say, survive a second opinion. They look at each other, a flicker of something I can't name, fear, or guilt, or simply fatigue. We're coming by tomorrow to take you to the bank, Daniel says. We'll make this easy. Tomorrow, I repeat. The clock in the hall ticks once, heavy as a gavel. Good night. After they leave, the house breathes again. I slide the list fully into the light, print my attorney's name darker, underline clerk twice. Tomorrow, I'll ask the county what my signature looks like and let paper answer what people won't. Asterisk, asterisk, morning comes pale and clinical. The kind of light that makes even honest rooms look like interrogation booths. At the Travis County Clerk, the counter glass is smudged with 100 other worries. A clerk in a cardigan takes my driver's license and the reference number I copied from the Manila tab, Orion Brooks POA. She disappears. Machines hum. When she returns, she slides a stack under the glass. Filed 3 weeks ago, she says, recorded and indexed. Do you need copies? I need to see it breathe, I say, and she smiles like she's heard worse. The power of attorney stares up at me with my name spelled correctly and my handwriting almost. The Y and L still wrong, single curl, overconfident downstroke. The date line uses a different font, the kind printers default to when a document pulls from 2 places. A notary seal blooms in the corner. It's circle crisp. It's commission. Number 2. I jot it down. Do you verify notaries? I ask. We can confirm the commission is active. The clerk says, tapping keys, yes, active. Issued out of Harris County, Houston, 200 miles from the kitchen where I did not sign. Witnesses, Gina Lowe and Mark Def Danner. The addresses are offices in a high-rise on Congress I've never set foot in. My signature, such as it isn't, places me there at 10:42 a.m. on a Tuesday. I was at my cardiologist, a receipt in my purse to prove it. Can I get certified copies? I ask, and the filing date timestamped, of course. Next window, property records show an appraisal ordered the same week. Photos of my porch, my hydrangeas, the oil stain Tom always meant to scrub. The request lists the client as Daniel Brooks PWA. My stomach goes cold with a clean anger. At Frostbank, the greeter recognizes the appointment time. Conference room C, Friday, 2 o'clock, she chirps, checking a screen. Ms. Brookso, it shows by POA Daniel Brooks. Do you still want a courtesy note on your profile? No wires without you physically present. Yes, I say. Print that, twice. By noon, I'm in Maya Patel's office, the blinds throwing zebra stripes across her law books. She clicks through scans as I talk. She stops when the signature hits the screen. Whoever did this studied you, she says, tapping the Y. But they pressed where you glide. The ink pools at the turns. The notary is real, but the venue line is a Miss Harris County. Notaries can notarize statewide, yes, but the witness addresses and your alibi matter more. She lays the appraisal beside the POA. This is not a family misunderstanding, Ellie. This is a paper crime. I breathe out, and it fogs the glass of her framed diploma. What do? I ask. Maya's mouth becomes a decision. We slow them down and make a record. Clerks' certified copies, bank alerts, credit freeze tonight, and if they're rushing you to Friday, good. Urgency is leverage we can turn. Tom's line comes back to me. Look at the thread. The thread is tight. It cuts, yes, but it also holds. Can you be available Friday? I ask. Maya smiles without warmth. I can be a ghost in the hallway and a wall if I need to. Outside, the sun has sharpened to steel. Paper cuts sting worst when you wash your hands. I tuck the certified copies into my bag like bandages and head home to start stitching. By the time the sun burns off the morning chill, the plan has bones. In Maya's office, we line the table with paper like a battlefield map, certified copies, my bank alerts, a fresh credit freeze confirmation, and a neat, dangerous stack of decoy statements that say I am worth just under $2 million in liquid assets. The toner smell is a little intoxicating. Greed is, too, if you're wired for it. Simple titles, big numbers, Maya says, sliding the top page into a clear sleeve labeled Asset Summary Draft. No derivatives, nothing to spook her. Let the round figures do the work. We rehearse questions that sound naive but aren't. If I start with $750K, why not all of it? Offshores that normal who owns the LLC temporarily. She coaches my pauses. The way a silence can pull more truth than a threat. Record everything, Maya adds, dropping a black fountain pen into my palm. It feels weighty, expensive. Click once to start, twice to stop. Back home, I empty a drawer onto the counter and build a small arsenal. The pen, a keyfob camera that looks like it came with the car I don't drive. A thin binder stamped Brooks Family Living Trust to a dummy trust. Maya drafted to see who reaches for it first. And an envelope with traceable bills in case Vivian decides. A retainer will make things move faster. I set my phone to mirror audio to the cloud. Redundancy is kindness you pay your future self. Don't stare at the blood, look at the thread, Tom would say. The thread now runs through timing. Frostbank is Friday at 2 p.m., so I dial Vivian Wednesday afternoon with the voice I used for parent calls as a principal, warm, unthreatening, firm at the seams. Coffee tomorrow, I say. I don't like signing what I don't understand. Let me ask you, woman to woman, a beat, then that practiced, pearled warmth. Of course, Ellie, there's a lovely cafe by Barton Springs, 2 o'clock. Perfect, I say, and set the hook. I text Daniel next. I want to hear more about the plan before Friday. Coffee tomorrow. Please tell Vivian I'm willing to move forward if I understand. He replies too quickly, proud of you, Mom, and I can see her hand on the back of his phone, guiding his thumb. Before bed, I leave a message for Officer Reed, informational only. I say in a polite email for Matthew Hale's firm, meeting set with his mother. I will document. If there's a proper channel for evidence, advise. I don't expect a reply. I sleep better after sending it. At the cafe, I'll choose the seat facing the window and let Vivian sit with her back to the room the way people who like control always do. I'll set my key fob on the saucer and my pen by the napkins and ask her to teach me how not to be stupid with money. She will, because the one thing greed loves more than money is an audience. When the house finally settles into its nighttime creaks, I lay the asset summary on the table and look at the number everyone will try to rearrange into their future. Let it shine, just enough, I tell myself. Let it pull her closer to the mic. Tomorrow, we let her talk. Asterisk. The cafe by Barton Springs smells like orange peel and espresso. Sunlight pooling on the polished concrete as if someone poured it from a jug. I take the chair facing the window. Vivian arrives 5 minutes early and claims the seat with her back to the room, command built into posture. Her silk blouse holds the light the way money does. It never absorbs, only reflects. Ellie, you look lovely, she says, setting her Saint Laurent down with ceremonial care. I'm so glad we can talk, woman to woman. Her smile is a glove that fits anyone. I place my key fob beside the saucer, my fountain pen near the napkins. The pen clicks once in my palm. The fob's tiny lens stares through steam. I keep my asset summary, half-sheathed. The top line, $1.94 million, peeking the way a secret does when it wants to be found. I don't sign what I don't understand, I say, and I don't understand this yet, of course. She leans in, elbows tidy, voice spun with warmth. It's called a sale-leaseback. You sell the house to a trusted partner in LLC. We manage for full value, then lease it back at a favorable rate. You free your equity. We optimize your returns. It's tax advantage, perfectly legal when structured correctly. Partner. I tilt my head. Who owns the LLC? Temporarily, I do, she says, not missing the seam. For efficiency, then the entity migrates under the umbrella. Our handler at Orion coordinates the vehicles. It's sophisticated. Vehicles as in offshore instruments, Ellie. She drops her voice like a jewelry store clerk saying the name of a stone. Treaties, shields, nothing risky, just modern. Outside, a jogger passes, the glass smudging his outline into a brushstroke of color. I let a small frown crease the space between my brows. I'm old-fashioned. If this is safe, why 10 days? Why a window that closes? She softens her tone, kindergarten teacher, soothing a bright child. Because the market moves and our pipeline fills. The Friday, 2 p.m. slot at Frost is ideal. Paperwork flows, wires align. We'll start with $750,000, then scale. You'll be amazed. I slide the asset summary an inch closer, as if I'm shy about its nakedness. Should I invest all of it, or is that gauche? Her pupils bloom. We'll tailor the glide path. But yes, we can put more to work, much more once we establish rapport. Daniel will execute by POA to keep it simple. He understands the cadence. I trace a circle in the condensation on my glass. And if I wanted my attorney to look purely ceremonial, would that offend the vehicles? Attorneys slow beautiful things, she says, smiling. But if you trust me, you won't need one. Urgency is part of the value here. Urgency is part of the value. The sentence lands like a confession wearing a string of pearls. I let myself nod, small and grateful. Thank you, Vivian. I feel taken care of. She exhales, relief, bright as a chandelier. You won't regret this. We part with a soft hug. On the sidewalk, cicadas scratch at the heat. The creek throws back shards of sky. My phone buzzes in my tote, one message. Then another. Orion. Green light. Move title to shell. Window. 10 days. Frostbank. Conference room C. Confirmed. Friday, 2 p.m. I tap the pen twice. The recording blinks out like an eye closing. Tomorrow, I bring my son a truth big enough to break him and maybe mend what's left. Asterisk, asterisk, I set the table the way you set an operating tray. Instruments in a line, light exactly where the wound will be. Certified copies on the left. Appraisal and clerk stamp center. My phone open to the cafe recording, a neat little waveform like a heartbeat on a monitor. The asset summary bait kept to the side, face down, because I've learned not every truth needs to walk in first. Daniel arrives with his shoulders up around his ears. Harper trails him, eyes glassy, fingers seeking her wedding ring like a rosary. The mason jar sits between us, the crooked bow gone limp. Sit, I say, listen. I press play. Vivian's voice pours into our kitchen with coffee shop warmth. Sale-leaseback LLC I own temporarily for efficiency. Our handler at Orion. Offshore vehicles. Urgency is part of the value. When the sentence lands, I pause. The room collects itself around the silence. Harper's ring spins. She was simplifying, she whispers. Paper simplifies, I answer, sliding the POA toward them. This says Daniel can sign my house without me. Witnesses I've never met. A notary out of Harris County. And here I fan the appraisal yurt, estate planning photos of my porch and the oil stain Tom never got to. Daniel doesn't touch the paper. He stares at my name where it shouldn't be and swallows like the page is sand. Mom, how did you pay for the Porsche? I ask. My voice is soft as a winter coat. And before you say bonus, remember that bank statements don't clap when they hear a story. He covers his eyes with the heel of his hand. The pose makes him look like a boy who dropped a glass he promised not to touch. Second mortgage, he says finally. 70,000. We were behind on everything. Linda Vivian said this would fix it if we showed good faith. He laughed. 2. Harper adds, words dripping. She said it would all settle once the equity moved. She showed charts, testimonials, said we were family. I pushed the clerk stamps forward. Family doesn't forge each other, I say. Professionals do. The fight goes out of Daniel's face like breath on a mirror. God, he says. Ragged, what have I done? Something forgivable, I tell him. If you help me end it, I outlined the plan in clean lines. Friday, 2 p.m., Frostbank, I'll meet as scheduled. I'll ask questions I already know the answers to. Maya will be a shadow in the hallway. Officer Reed will be nearby, with a folder for the notary stamp and witness addresses. I've notified Matthew Hale's firm of my intention to document. If luck or decency exists, he'll be reachable when we need a lawyer to hear his mother. You'll text Vivian tonight. I tell Daniel, tell her I'm ready. Use her words back to her window. Opportunity, trust, let her relax. He nods, eyes rimmed red. And if I am bait, you were, I say. Now you're a hook. Harper wipes her face, steadies her hands. What do we do until Friday? We breathe. We do not sign. And we stop lying to ourselves. Night thickens at the windows. Somewhere on the street, a car turns, headlights sweeping the room like a lighthouse. My pen, the one that lists between us. Tomorrow, I say, sliding the asset summary into view. We finish this. Conference room C is all glass and angles air conditioning set to courtroom. A tray of pens sits like silverware at a polite execution. Vivian is already there, silk perfect, a folder labeled Orion squared to the edge of the table. Daniel hovers beside her, pale around the mouth. The banker smiles with that neutral bank smile you can't cash. Ms. Brooks, Vivian purrs, rising a fraction but not enough to concede ground. So glad we could move quickly. Urgency is part of the value. Remember, I say, laying my fountain pen by the pad. It clicks once in my hand. The sound is tiny. Final dot. She fans papers with a magician's rhythm. Standard sale-leaseback, plus a small addendum last-minute efficiency tweak. She taps the addendum with a manicured nail. Title transfers temporarily to an LLC I manage. We migrate it under the umbrella post-close. Daniel can sign by POA keeps it simple. Who owns the LLC? I ask, innocent as a teacup. I do, she says, smiling, temporarily. And the umbrella. I flip a page, eyes on the signature, line spelled with my name, Orion's handler. Do they coordinate the offshore vehicles we discussed? The tax-advantaged ones. Exactly, she beams, relief loosening her jaw. You're a quick study. The banker clears his throat. We just need initials here, and here then, we can wire the proceeds. Wire where? I ask, and Vivian answers before he can. Holding account, then vehicles, she recites, smooth as glass. We've 10 days on this window. It's why we're blessed to be here at 2. Blessed, my pen is already listening. I'd like to read the addendum, I say, and let her watch me read. Silence stretches taut and shiny. Daniel fidgets. I hear his boyhood breath. The door handle whispers. Maya Patel appears in the glass like a reflection resolving. She doesn't enter. She inhabits the threshold. 2 steps behind her, Officer Reed Bog at the hip.com, face built for bad news, and behind him, Matthew Hale, in person. Jet lag polished into something that reads as resolve. Vivian's smile fractures. What is this? A pause, Maya says gently, as if explaining scissors to a child. Standard when a client raises fraud concerns. I didn't, Vivian begins. I set the certified POA on the table. Clerk stamps bright as bruises. Harris County Notary. Witnesses I've never met. An appraisal ordered by Daniel POA, and this morning's confirmation that no wires leave my accounts without me standing here. Vivian looks to Daniel for the old choreography. This time, he doesn't move. You can't record me, she says, voice thinning. I'm a party to this conversation, I answer, steady. I'm recording the moment a woman who calls herself my family asks me to transfer my home to her LLC and promises to hide the proceeds in offshore vehicles because urgency is part of the value. Officer Reed sets a folder down, edges neat. Ms. Hale, we're going to ask you to step away from the documents. He glances at Matthew. Counsel Matthew's eyes are tired and kind and furious. Vivian, he says softly, the word a history and a verdict. Don't make this worse. For a breath, no one moves. Outside the glass, the bank's lobby drifts by, fish behind aquarium walls. Inside, paper stops pretending to be anything but evidence. I cap my pen. The click sounds like a door locking. Asterisk. They separate us the way hospitals separate fire from oxygen. A manager escorts Vivian to a side room. The glass door whispers shut and turns her into a moving picture, all gesture and no sound. Officer Reed gathers the papers into tidy stacks. BOA appraisal, addendum, the vehicles and numbers, each set with a post-it, evidence turned domestic. Maya signs. Chinov custody forms with a pen that doesn't tremble. Matthew stands with his hands folded, jaw tight, the expression of a son who has learned to read two truths at once. I'll take formal statements downtown. Reed says .com as a metronome. No one signs anything here today. No one signs anything. The words land in my chest like air. In the small conference across the hall. Daniel stares at his reflection in the glass until it resolves into someone he recognizes and doesn't like. I'll sell the car, he says, not looking at me. We'll unwind the HELOC. I'll call the bank today. You'll call me first, Maya corrects gently. Then, the bank. We'll script it. Timeline matters. She slides him a page, titled Immediate Remediation, Notify Lender, Request Hardship Review, Cease Discretionary Spend, Document all contact, no private meetings with Vivian or anyone from Orion. Harper nods so hard her hair comes loose. Therapy, she blurts. We've already booked it for both of us. Her hands flattened against the table, finally still. And a financial literacy class. I don't want to be this easy to sell to ever again. Across the hall, Vivian's silhouette sags and rallies. Matthew watches without moving. When he speaks, his voice has the softness of precision. I will not represent her, he tells Reed, and then he looks at me. But I will make sure she understands what she's done. Reed nods. We'll open a formal case: forgery, attempted exploitation, attempted theft. Your documentation is robust, Ms. Brooks. He taps the recorder hidden in my pen, a small, satisfied sound. You did good work. Back home, I put the house on a new footing. Maya files an immediate revocation and notice on the POA with the clerk and sends certified letters to every address on the forged form. We finalize a living trust with tripwires, dual attorney verification for any POA. No sale, lien, or wire without my in-person signature and a recorded attorney attestation. Monthly clerk checks calendared like dental cleanings. The bank adds a no wire without presentment banner and photo ID challenge on every account. I freeze my credit. I set alerts, so granular the banks will know when I buy socks. Daniel and Harper arrive the next evening in a smaller car that looks like honesty. They hand over receipts the way people hand over contraband, palms up, ashamed, relieved. It's a mess, Daniel says, voice wrecked. But it's our mess now. It always was, I say. Then softer, fix it slow, fast breaks things. At night, the house sounds different, less like a patient, more like a place. I set the mason jar on the mantel, beside Tom's repaired photo, not as a wound but as a warning label and a joke we survived. Somewhere downtown, paperwork becomes charges. And charges become choices. 6 months from now there will be a porch, a letter, and a different kind of Christmas. But first, we let the truth do the work we hired it to do. Asterisk. 6 months later, the porch remembers how to be a porch. Late light spills across the rail like honey. The wind chimes speak in their small silver grammar. Daniel parks at the curb in a sensible car with more mileage than pride. He and Harper carry paper bags, the kind that wrinkle at the corners because hands held them too hard. Inside, the house has a different temperature, less emergency, more home. On the mantel, the mason jar stands beside a newly restored photo of Tom and me on our wedding day. The jar is not a wound anymore. It's a label I outlived. We made all the payments, Daniel says, setting envelopes in a tidy fan. HELOC closed. Second mortgage corrected. Porsche gone. Banknotes stamped in the bureaucratic ink that declares, a thing not only done but recorded. His voice is smaller and truer. We're square. Harper places a casserole on the stove, one of mine, stolen back from time. We started the class, she adds. Budget, credit, the whole boring miracle. She needs the edge of a potholder, then stops herself. Smile shaky but real. We needed to learn new words. We eat at the kitchen table we nearly lost. Elbows touching, forks clinking the way forgiveness does. Not loudly, but often. After, Daniel hands me a letter. The paper has the wrinkled honesty of something rewritten. Mom, I'm sorry for confusing urgency with love. I'm sorry for asking you to sign my fear. Thank you for making me look at the thread. There was a sentencing last week. Vivian wore gray and spoke to the floor. She didn't meet my eyes. She met consequence. I sat 2 rows behind Matthew, the boy who had to learn the difference between duty and rescue. When it was over, he found me on the steps and said only, "Thank you for telling the truth out loud." We stood in the shade and didn't solve each other. Sometimes that's the work. At home, Maya filed the last of the safeguards, a living trust with tripwires, dual attorney verification for any POA, no wire without me present, baked into every account. A calendar reminder to check the county clerk monthly, the way you check smoke alarms. Officer Reed returned my pen recorder in a paper bag. "You kept the receipts," he said. "That's how people keep their lives. If you're watching this, I want you to hear me clearly. Never sign fast. Real opportunities do not flinch when you ask for time. Freeze your credit. Put alerts on your accounts. Photograph anything you hand someone. Call your clerk and ask what's been filed in your name. Write down who said what, when. If shame tells you to go quiet, answer it with a phone call, a lawyer, to a bank manager, to someone who knows where the thread goes. Tell me where you're watching from. Tell me one boundary you will set this week, something small and stubborn. No wires without me present. No signatures without counsel. No urgency without proof. Put it in the comments so someone else can borrow your courage. When they leave, I wash 2 plates and hear the house breathing. The chime in the hall counts the hour. Outside, a neighbor's dog announces the mail. The world conducts its ordinary symphony, which is to say, mercy. I dry the last fork and set it in the drawer, and for the first time in a long while, I don't listen for the sound of paper cutting skin. I listen for the door opening. If this story brushed a bruise, you keep quiet. Share it with someone you love. And if you need a place to start, I'll post a 60-second checklist after this. How to spot a forged POA and what to do in the next hour. We are not for sale. Not our houses. Not our names. Not our people. Thank you for listening.